Thank you, Lance. Today on Speed Week, we profile an 18-year-old man who is starting out on that long journey that eventually leads to Formula One. Mark Webber, how long does that journey take?
Oh, a fair while, as we've seen with the other Formula One drivers, so usually about 10 years from when they start Formula Fords to Formula One, but we'll take each year as it comes and we'll see how we go from there.
You conquered the world when it came to karting, made a beautiful transition to Formula Ford and picked up, need we say, a major sponsor in Yellow Pages. You're about to have your first drive in a Formula Brabham. Can you be competitive first time out?
Oh, I think we can be reasonably competitive. I've got a good car in Paul Staples' old car last year. I'll just try and compare myself to Paul. He's doing an excellent job. He's won 2 championships, as you know, so I'll just try and compare myself to him, and I think we'll end up all right.
A huge difference between Formula Ford, Formula Brabham?
Yeah, I think it is. The power's definitely there, and also the wings and the brakes is going to be, I think, a big step to get used to, so we'll see how we go.
Who are your idols in motor racing?
Definitely Michael Schumacher. He's a bit of a hot shoe. I think he does an excellent job, very professional.
You're sorry Nigel got out?
No, not at all. No, he's too much of a whinger for me, I think.
Okay, 18 years of age. His name is Mark Webber. He's about to debut in Formula Brabhams at Mallala. Let's see how it works out.
Good afternoon, I'm Greg McShane. We're at Mallala Motorsport Park for round 3, race 1 of the Australian Drivers' Championship. With me in commentary, Greg Rust. Greg, things looking pretty strong here in the middle of the season.
They certainly are. Paul Stokell, the current champion, in fact, has taken his 5th pole position for the series. On the outside of him and making a terrific debut into Formula Brabham is the young Formula Ford driver, Mark Webber. Out of 3, it's Arthur Abrahams, and making a good turn of speed in the old Mark Larkham car is Adam Kaplan.
Well, it's a good, strong field here at Mallala. A lot of the drivers travel a long way to come here and race. Let's see how they get away for the first of the races here this afternoon. On the left of screen, that is Paul Stokell. Car number 1 gets away very smartly. Webber settles himself in, a little bit squirrely off the start, but he's into 2nd place. Everyone has gotten off the line. Right at rear of field, Kevin Weeks had a problem in qualifying. Let's hope he settles himself in. First time through the left-hander, Reynard's dominating the field, 1 through 5 in qualifying. The next one through was a Rolt, and that was driven by Steve Cramp, the ex-Formula 2 driver. The Reynards certainly seem to be the sorted piece of equipment out here today.
Mark Webber showing very graphically off the line, a little bit of inexperience with these particular cars. They require a certain driving technique on these cold, slick tyres, a technique that he's not quite used to in Formula Ford racing.
Yeah, well, I suppose the big difference is just that, the size of the tyres. They're absolutely huge. Takes ages to get some temp in, and you've got a qualifying setup, you've got a race setup, and you've got different fuel loads. So there's many, many things that come into play with the Formula Brabhams that a Formula Ford driver, well, to be honest, really does need a little bit of practice with. A little bit of drama on the far side of the circuit. Chaz Jacobson finding himself off the circuit. He's okay. That's your leader, Paul Stokell, doing a nice job indeed with the Barana. They are very nicely turned out pieces of gear. Webber's got a bit of pressure on him at the moment, and no doubt as the tyres do settle themselves in after a couple of laps, he'll feel a little more comfortable with it. One of the real problems, I'd imagine, for a Formula Ford driver going to a Brabham is just trying to work out the limit of adhesion, because with these things, they're fine until they go sideways. Kevin Weeks, by the look of it, has got himself a bit of a problem. Gee, he's had an appalling time so far.
In fact, it's a weekend I think he'd really prefer to forget. The wheel weight simply left the car during his qualifying run, and he was basically forced to start from the rear of the grid.
Yeah, he's certainly at the rear of the field right now. He doesn't look too pleased about it either as he throws the gloves into the cockpit. Right at the moment, though, that is Paul Stokell, our leader, doing what he does best, and that's winning the Formula Brabham races. Look at the inside front wheel just locking up. Bit of weight transfer there. Obviously, he's got the car nicely balanced. He's quite pleased with the way the car handles. And yeah, these cars really are a difficult piece of gear to drive. The aerodynamics work fine when the car's going in a straight line. As soon as the thing gets a little bit sideways, guess what you lose? All of the downforce, or certainly a great percentage of the downforce. Right at the moment, it is Stokell, Webber and Stephen Cramp. There he is up in the Rolt, so just going to show that you can forget qualifying. He's managed to get that Rolt up into the top 3 right at the moment. Steve Cramp in the Just Jeans machine, ex-Formula 2 driver, has a mile of experience with slicks and the wings on these cars. You know, the funny thing is with wings that the inexperienced drivers tend to do is if the car's not handling, be it understeer or oversteer, they immediately think, I can fix that using aerodynamics. They wind some wing on, they take some wing off. that works fine, except for the fact that it really does hurt you as you add wing on for top speed. At a place like Mallala, though, you can believe it, these guys have got as much wing on as they think they can put up with. Everyone's got around about 330 horsepower, thereabouts. So horsepower in these controlled engines is very similar. In fact, usually you can look at that. Gee, I tell you what, old Graham's having himself a good time there. The car bouncing across the track. He really has got the thing wound up. Now, that's where mechanical grip comes into play. In other words, not aerodynamic grip, but mechanical grip. Getting the thing set up properly with shocks, springs and bars. You can adjust from the cabin, the sway bar setting or the anti-roll bar setting, so that there is a fair degree of adjustability whilst you're actually out on the track.
Mark Webber there doing a nice job in the second of the Reynards, prepared of course by Barana Engineering. And Malcolm Ramsey, the team manager for Barana Engineering, has been very impressed with Mark over the weekend. He's only had limited experience in this particular car, and yet straight away he's been able to give the team some very, very good feedback on the car and settled into it very, very quickly. On the whole, though, Barana Engineering should be wrapped with this effort, a 1-2 at this particular stage.
Yeah, right at the moment it seems that they've certainly got the handle on the first two places. The battle for third starting to hot up. Stephen Cramp has got Adam Kaplan right on his tail now. That's an interesting paint job on the Kaplan machine, depending on whether you're on the left side or the right side as to whether it's white or whether it's red. Bit of a commentator's nightmare. That's him third on the screen at the moment. So you can see that these two just settling themselves in as well for the run. Now again, it looks to me as if Stephen Cramp really has this car on screen, car 21, the Just Jeans machine, very tightly strung. It seems to bounce around. He's happy with it. You know, someone like Mark Webber probably would be really happy with that kind of a setup as well, having come from karts, and that is the setup they use. They don't have suspension. Obviously, they bounce around a fair bit. This is a nice job here Steve Cramp's doing. Kaplan in behind him. Now, Kaplan has worn him down, so Adam Kaplan has just settled into the role here and probably having a look up the inside, left and right, just working out possibly where there's a few niches to be found there with the Steve Cramp armour. Right at the moment, though, they're actually making ground on Mark Webber, so we've got ourselves a bit of a battle on right for second place. I think probably Stokel, though, has just settled in and will go as fast as he needs to. And let's not take anything from Paul Stokel. I mean, he is the defending Gold Star champion. He is now leading the championship. This guy he's hot, he's on the pace.
Adam Kaplan there, of course, driving the ex-Mark Larkham Reynard, a car that a lot of the drivers seem to favour. The Reynard, they feel, is one that's a little easier to set up. The Rolt, being driven by Cramp in front of him, is one that a lot of the drivers really tend to shy away from, but yet Greg Murphy did such a fine job in that particular car last year.
Yeah, Murphy did manage to get some great speed out of the Rolt. I suppose really everyone likes the Reynard simply because there's so much information available from England, and these cars are carbon fibre tubs. They are quite repairable. The rules here in Australia require that the machine cannot be brand new. At the moment, Stokel, Webber and Cramp, 1, 2 and 3. But it is definitely the Reynards that everyone prefers. They like to get over to England, purchase a year-old chassis, bring it over, modify it, get the Holden V6 motor into it, and away you go. That's it, an Australian Formula Brabham car.
Not too many laps left to go in this particular one now, so our leader, Paul Stokel, the current Australian Drivers' Champion, in fact, we're on our last lap, doing a nice job in the Barana Engineering machine. I'm looking forward to the Asia Pacific Series, which is coming up very, very shortly. This, of course, is the last round of the Australian Drivers' Championship, when we get some competitors from the likes of Indonesia, New Zealand, and, of course, the whole host of them from Australia. I think that's going to be terrific.
Yes, New Zealand are, in fact, embracing this class. As you've said, Indonesia as well, so there's plenty of scope for our guys to race against overseas competitors, so as they've got a bit of a balance, they can see just where they stand in the world. This is Mark Webber in second place. A nice drive from him. What a great debut, finishing in second place as he is here on his last lap. A top drive from him. He'd be happy. No doubt Malcolm Ramsey from Barana Engineering, he's pretty pleased about it as well. But let's not take it away from Stokel. He's done a very, very nice job. He is the team leader. He's done a lot of work to help put all this together so as that Mark Webber does get himself this drive. Stephen Cramp in second place in the Just Jeans machine, and in the Rolt, he's doing a nice job as well. And I think Formula Brabham has really grown this year in Australia. There's no doubt whatsoever. Oh, have a look at this as they head for the flag. Gee, that's a rugged way to finish your race meeting. Alan Galloway's got himself into a real bind there. It looks as if he ran wide and has simply spun to the infield, clouded the wall. He'll be a non-finisher as our leader has crossed the line. There's Galloway. Well, he's okay. I hope the car's all right. Well, Paul Stokel has taken it out. Mark Webber's finished in second place. Stephen Cramp has grabbed third place. Race 1, round 3 of the Australian Drivers' Championship. Well, Mark Webber has really etched his place in Formula Brabham racing, and based on this performance, we can expect big things from him in the future.
It's good.